All right, so ready for something a little different. This deep dive, you guys sent us some interesting material.
Interesting is one word for it.
Yeah. Clips from a YouTube channel. Podcast Speak English, it's called.
Not your typical scholarly source.
Right. But that's what makes this fun. We're going to explore a day in the life as it's presented in these short, conversational English lessons.
Casual.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it as like a cultural snapshot. Unexpected insights into their daily routines, values, even how they think about language learning.
I think what's fascinating is how much these ordinary activities can reveal. How the characters interact, what they choose to focus on, their priorities. It's all there in these simple conversations.
Okay, so let's jump right in. We start with morning rituals. What's more universal than that first cup of coffee?
And it's more than just caffeine, right? In one scene, there's this emphasis on the quality of the beans, like the aroma, almost a ritual in itself.
Oh, and then there's that casual, we should visit that new coffee shop sometime. Like, not a big deal on the surface, but...
But it suggests something about how relationships form, maybe.
Exactly. Understated, but hinting that connection might be built gradually through these shared experiences.
Hmm.
Then we move to lunch, and there's this interesting mix. Some are having healthy homemade salads, while others grab a quick sandwich, digging into leftovers.
And they're watching a game together, discussing highlights. Makes you wonder, is this a workplace where the lines are a bit blurred? Camaraderie is valued as much as productivity.
There's even a mention of after-work drinks to celebrate finishing a project. Like, we should all go out for drinks after the project wraps up. What's that say about their work-life balance? Or is it more that group bonding is tied to work success?
Could be both, right?
Hmm.
Maybe we'll find as we go deeper that for them, those lines aren't so rigid. Celebrating together is both personal and professional.
Then, total shift in pace.
Hmm.
We're in the park for a peaceful evening walk. Is this a counterpoint to that busy work life we just saw?
It feels deliberate, doesn't it? They talk about the park as an escape, a place to clear their heads. Does this suggest a need to de-stress that's like built into their routine?
One says, this park is so peaceful in the evening. I love these quiet walks after work. Okay, so valuing nature is definitely there. But then they talk about reading together in the park, even starting a book club. That's still about connecting with others, even when seeking peace and quiet.
It might tell us something about their social habits. Maybe solitude is fine, but ultimately shared experiences, even quiet ones, are more valuable.
Speaking of shared activities, let's get into domestic life. We start with dinner, and they're trying a new stir-fry recipe, lots of veggies.
Emphasis on healthy eating? Sure. But what I find interesting is that they're cooking together. Someone says cooking together makes dinner even better. So it's not just fuel, it's a bonding activity.
And they decide to, quote, make dinner special on a regular weeknight. Using the fancy plates. It's not a big occasion, but they're putting in the effort.
It suggests intentionality. Even if their daily lives are busy, they're choosing to add a little ceremony to their routine. Do they find meaning in elevating even simple acts?
Then it's bedtime, and instead of phones, we see someone deep in a mystery novel. It's my way of winding down, helps me relax.
There's that deliberate contrast with screen time. Reading is better for sleep. Is that a health awareness thing or more a preference for a specific kind of mental engagement before bed?
And they mention sharing book recommendations, maybe starting a book club. Just like that park scene, even relaxation has this social layer.
Makes you wonder if their ideal leisure activities always have that potential to become shared ones.
All right, on to the weekend. We open with gardening, flowers, veggies, enjoying the sun.
What stands out to you? For me, it's the satisfaction they express. Growing your own food, being in nature, more than just hobby. It feels tied to self-sufficiency or even a sense of accomplishment.
One even calls it a workout. So they're getting multiple benefits out of it, multitasking their leisure time, maybe.
That's a good point. It could be a culture where free time is precious, so it needs to be fulfilling in multiple ways.
Okay then, family movie night. They choose a comedy, something light and fun for all of us. The emphasis seems to be on shared enjoyment, right?
Exactly. And notice the details: popcorn, building a fort. It's almost performative. Maybe these events are chances to strengthen their bond, through ritual.
Someone says, family movie nights are the best. Let's make it cozy and fun. It's like they're deliberately creating a positive memory.
It makes you ask, is this spontaneous or part of a larger trend? Maybe they're influenced by media portrayals of ideal family time, or perhaps this kind of active effort is like ingrained in their upbringing.
And to round out the weekend, they're baking cookies, the anticipation is high, the classic milk pairing is mentioned.
It's interesting how much emphasis is put on this. It's not just a snack, it's a special activity. Maybe homemade treats hold a particular cultural significance for them.
Someone says, baking cookies is always so much fun. I'm glad we decided to bake today. It's like reinforcing that this was the right choice for a weekend activity.
Maybe baking represents more than just food. Could be tradition, passing down skills, simply the act of creation being valued in their culture.
Okay, time to shift gears. Let's look at some everyday tasks. We start with laundry day, something we can all relate to.
Even chores can be revealing.
Mm.
Here it's a couple working together, sorting clothes, talking about techniques. It's almost like they've ritualized it.
They even discuss like air drying clothes, a nod towards sustainability.
Someone says, laundry day is more fun with company. Is this a culture where even mundane tasks are better when shared? Or is it more about finding ways to make necessary things enjoyable?
Next, we see a parent helping their child with homework. Patience, encouragement, genuine enthusiasm for learning, it's all there.
They're working through fractions, talking about ancient Egypt. Not just rote learning, but fostering curiosity. It seems education is seen as more than just grades.
The parent says, I want you to enjoy learning as much as possible. That's a pretty clear statement of their values, right?
It suggests a belief in nurturing a love of learning for its own sake. Would be interesting to see if this carries through in other areas of their lives. Are they lifelong learners, constantly seeking new knowledge?
Now, for a scene I bet you'll appreciate, they're listening to music, sharing new artists, new tracks.
What struck me is their openness to different genres. It's not about sticking to one style. It's about the experience music provides.
They talk about how music, quote, lifts the mood. They're consciously using it to enhance their day.
That's fascinating. They're not passive listeners. They're actively seeking out music to shape their emotional state. Does this suggest a culture that values emotional awareness or even a proactive approach to well-being?
And like many of their activities, they suggest attending a live concert together. That shared experience seems essential to them.
It reinforces that idea of connection through shared passions. Enjoyment is amplified when it's communal.
All right, let's get moving. Literally, we're on to active living, starting with a morning jog. It's not just about exercise. They're enjoying the fresh air, the sunrise.
One says, morning jogs always start my day off right. So it seems to be about more than just physical fitness. It's about mental clarity, a positive mindset.
They mention improved endurance, better sleep. They're aware of the holistic benefits, not just focused on one aspect.
It speaks to a culture that views health as multifaceted. Not just about looking good, it's about feeling good, sleeping well, having the energy to engage with their day.
And of course, they're jogging together. That social element, almost always present.
Makes you wonder, is this inherent to their culture or just personal preference? Would they be as motivated to exercise alone? Or is that shared experience crucial?
Okay, let's head to the grocery store. Once again, we see a couple working together, efficiently moving through the aisles, list in hand.
What I find interesting is how they break down the tasks. I'll get the chicken, you find the peppers. This smooth collaboration suggests like a high level of comfort understanding between them.
Their list reveals healthy choices. Ingredients for stir-fry, essentials like coffee, but healthy snacks too. We're seeing those healthy eating habits in action.
Confirms that the emphasis on health isn't just talk. It's reflected in their daily choices. It's not about deprivation. It's making conscious decisions that align with their values.
It's like a well-choreographed dance, the way they navigate the store together, almost as if they've turned grocery shopping into a shared ritual.
Makes you wonder if they view these everyday tasks as opportunities to connect, to strengthen their bond.
Let's pause for a moment, explore some more introspective scenes. We start with journaling. One character describes it as a way to organize thoughts, process emotions, almost like a form of meditation.
Fascinating. They're actively engaging in self-reflection. Does this suggest a culture that values introspection, self-awareness, maybe even emotional intelligence?
They talk about the privacy and honesty of journaling, saying, it's just for me. It's a space where I can be completely honest and open. Sounds like a sacred space for self-exploration.
Interesting that they need this private outlet. Raises the question, do they feel that same freedom of expression in their social interactions? Or is journaling how they process thoughts and feelings they might not share openly?
Then a classic scene. Rainy day, curled up with a good book. They're enjoying different genres, the simple pleasure of reading.
One says, There's something about reading on a rainy day that's so peaceful. It's like the world slows down. They see reading as a way to escape, find a sense of calm, maybe.
And they talk about the physical experience, turning pages, the feel of the book, rejection of technology, or an appreciation for the tangible aspects of reading.
It's a good question. Perhaps both. They value the traditional format, the sensory experience, but maybe it also speaks to a desire to disconnect from the digital world, find solace in the simplicity of a physical book.
All right, back to nature. We're watching a breathtaking sunset while cycling through the countryside.
It's interesting how they describe it. Watching the sunset while cycling is such a peaceful experience. They're actively seeking this beauty, this tranquility. Nature plays a vital role in their well-being.
They talk about appreciating the simple things, taking a break from the hustle. It's like a conscious effort to find balance.
It does raise a question. Is this appreciation inherent to their culture? Or a reaction to a fast-paced, maybe stressful modern life? Are they seeking refuge? Or is nature simply a deeply ingrained part of their worldview?
One of them says, "It's moments like these that make me appreciate the simple things." Real sense of gratitude there.
It's beautiful. They're not taking this experience for granted, right? Acknowledging its impact on them emotionally, recognizing its power to bring joy, peace.
And they suggest making it a regular activity, turning it into a ritual, like they're actively integrating these moments of tranquility into their lives.
It suggests a conscious effort to prioritize well-being, to make space for nature's restorative power. It's not just spontaneous, it's a commitment to nurturing that connection to the natural world.
Finally, we end with a really heartwarming scene, feeding the birds in the park. Such a simple act, but they find so much joy in it.
One says, feeding them is such a simple joy. It's fascinating how much meaning they find in this small act. Maybe it reflects a broader worldview, finding wonder in the everyday, connecting with nature even in the most urban settings.
They talk about observing different species, the calming nature of the activity. They're genuinely engaged with the natural world around them.
A reminder that we don't need grand adventures to find connection, meaning sometimes it's the simplest acts, like feeding birds, that bring us joy and remind us of our place in the world.
This is fascinating, wouldn't you say? We started with simple English lessons, and look how much we've uncovered already.
Incredible what we can glean from these seemingly mundane activities. Makes you wonder what other cultural insights are hidden in plain sight, just waiting to be discovered.
We'll dive deeper into that after a quick break. But before we do, what stands out to you so far? What's got you curious?
For me, it's the balance they seem to strike between individual pursuits and these shared experiences. Almost every activity, even the quiet ones, have that potential to become social. Is this a reflection of a collectivist culture or simply a personal preference for togetherness?
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And, it makes me think about how this emphasis on shared experiences might tie into their approach to learning English itself.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, these clips they're from language lessons.
Right.
So perhaps their learning style is inherently social, collaborative even.
That's a great point. Yeah, maybe for them, learning a new language is about more than just the mechanics. It's about connecting with others, building relationships, becoming part of a community. Exactly. And it makes you wonder, does this value extend to other areas of learning, personal growth? Do they prioritize mentorship, group study, communal learning experiences in general? It's something to consider.
All right, let's get back to some of those everyday scenes. One that stood out to me was laundry day. Not the most glamorous activity, but
Oh, but revealing, though.
yeah.
Even chores can offer these cultural insights. What struck me here was the teamwork. They're sorting clothes together, discussing techniques, almost like they've made a ritual out of it.
Yeah, one even asks, do you separate the darks too? It's like sharing this practical knowledge, reinforcing their connection through these everyday rituals.
Right, and there's this acknowledgement of the never-ending cycle of laundry. Laundry day again, I feel like I just did this.
Yeah.
It's universal, sure, but the way they frame it, with humor and shared understanding, it speaks to their approach to life's little annoyances.
Yeah, it's like they're finding a way to make even the most tedious tasks more enjoyable, and they're doing it together.
And did you notice how they linked laundry to their fitness routine? It's a good sign we're staying active, at least. It's almost like they're reframing a chore as a positive reflection of their healthy lifestyle.
Speaks to their optimistic outlook. Finding the silver lining, even in a pile of laundry. Speaking of positive outlooks, let's shift to a scene that's all about encouragement and nurturing, a love of learning. helping with homework.
Oh, this one was heartwarming. The parents' patience, the encouragement, that genuine enthusiasm for learning, it was so evident. It really speaks to their parenting style and the values they're instilling.
Remember the child's frustration with fractions. I'm stuck on this problem. It's about fractions. And
Yes.
instead of just giving the answer, the parent takes the time to explain the concept, making sure the child really understands.
That approach is so telling. They're not focused on just getting the right answer. They're focused on the process, on nurturing that sense of curiosity and problem solving.
And it's not just math, right? They're talking about ancient Egypt, pyramids, different cultures. The parent is clearly broadening the child's horizons, fostering a love of learning that goes beyond the classroom.
Absolutely. And that line from the parent, "I want you to enjoy learning as much as possible," that speaks volumes. It suggests a belief in lifelong learning, embracing knowledge for its own sake.
It makes you wonder if this child will grow up to be like a curious explorer, always seeking new knowledge and experiences.
It's an exciting possibility, and
Okay.
it speaks to the power of a supportive and encouraging learning environment.
Now let's shift to a scene that's all about self-reflection and finding a space for emotional processing. Journaling.
Journaling has become so popular, hasn't it, as a tool for self-care, personal growth. In this scene, we see one of the characters using it to organize their thoughts, process emotions, even set goals.
One says, I've been keeping a journal lately. It's been really helpful for organizing my thoughts. And they compare it to meditation, like a way to find inner peace and clarity. It seems very deliberate for them.
It is, yeah. It speaks to their self-awareness. They're actively trying to understand their own thoughts, their feelings. Makes you wonder if this is a cultural norm or personal choice driven by a desire for self-improvement.
And they talk about the privacy and honesty of journaling. It's just for me. It's a space where I can be completely honest and open, almost like a sanctuary.
It does. And it makes me think about their social dynamics. Do they feel that same level of comfort, that openness in expressing themselves to others? Or is journaling a way to process things they might not feel comfortable sharing publicly?
Interesting question. Maybe journaling offers a safe space for vulnerability, exploration that they don't find elsewhere. Speaking of sanctuary, let's move to a scene that's all about finding peace and connecting with nature, even in an urban setting. Feeding the birds.
There's something so simple and yet so profound about this act. It's a beautiful reminder that we can find joy and connection in the most unexpected places.
One says, I love coming to the park to feed the birds. It's so calming to watch them. It seems like a ritual that brings a sense of peace, tranquility.
It does, and it speaks to their appreciation for nature even in a busy city. They're taking the time to observe, to connect with these creatures, to find a moment of respite in their day.
And they're not just passively feeding, right? They're actively engaged, noticing the different species, even wondering if the birds recognize them.
That curiosity is wonderful. They're not just going through the motions. They're present, finding delight in those small details.
It makes you wonder if this appreciation for nature extends to other areas of their lives. Do they make an effort to incorporate nature into their home, their work, their leisure activities?
It's an intriguing thought. Perhaps this simple act of feeding the birds is a reflection of a deeper connection to the natural world, a worldview that values simplicity, observation, finding wonder in the everyday.
Okay, let's shift gears again and explore a scene that's all about the power of rest and rejuvenation. Taking a nap.
The humble nap, often underestimated but so essential for restoring energy and boosting productivity.
One says, I think I might take a quick nap. I've been feeling a bit tired this morning. Simple statement, but it speaks to their self-awareness, their willingness to listen to their body's needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not pushing through exhaustion. They're prioritizing rest, recognizing its importance for their well-being.
And they mention the benefits, even from a short 20-minute nap. They're aware of the science behind it, the impact on energy levels, cognitive function.
Fascinating. It's like they're approaching rest with this intentionality, not as a luxury, but as an essential part of a healthy, productive life.
And they even have little tips for a successful nap, a quiet room, comfortable chair or sofa, a gentle alarm to avoid waking up abruptly.
It's like they've turned napping into an art form. It speaks to their appreciation for ritual, their ability to create a calming and restorative environment, even for a short break.
And they add, a cozy blanket always makes it better, even for a short nap. It's those little details that show their commitment to comfort, self-care.
It's a beautiful reminder that we can create these moments of sanctuary in our busy lives, even if it's just for a few minutes.
All right, let's head back to the kitchen for a scene that's all about culinary adventure and the joy of trying new things, experimenting with a new recipe.
There's a palpable sense of excitement and anticipation in this scene. They're embracing the challenge of learning new techniques, new flavors.
They're trying a Thai curry for the first time, and they're not taking any shortcuts. One says, I'm excited to try this new recipe. It's supposed to be a delicious Thai curry. They're even making the curry paste from scratch.
It speaks to their culinary curiosity, their willingness to step outside their comfort zone, explore new cuisines. It's not just about following a recipe. It's about the process of discovery, creation.
And there's that element of collaboration again. We've seen it in so many other scenes. They're helping each other chop vegetables, discussing the recipe, clearly enjoying cooking together.
It reinforces that sense of connection, shared experience that we keep seeing. It seems they find joy in tackling new challenges together, whether it's learning a language, a new hobby, experimenting with a recipe.
One says it's all about experimenting and having fun in the kitchen. A nice reminder that cooking can be an adventure, a creative outlet, and a way to connect with others.
Exactly. And it makes me wonder if this open-mindedness, this adventurous approach, extends to other areas of their lives. Are they always seeking new experiences, pushing their boundaries, embracing the unknown?
That's an exciting question. And it speaks to the power of curiosity and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone. Speaking of stepping outside, let's transition to a scene that's all about finding solace and escape in a good book, especially on a rainy day.
There's something so cozy and inviting about curling up with a book when it's raining outside. It's like the perfect excuse to slow down, disconnect from the world, immerse yourself in another reality.
One says there's something about reading on a rainy day that's so peaceful. It's like the world slows down, you can just get lost in a book. It seems like they view reading as a form of escapism, a way to find tranquility amidst the chaos.
It does, and it speaks to their appreciation for the power of stories, to transport us, broaden our horizons, provide a break from the demands of life.
They're each engrossed in different genres. One's reading an adventure novel, the other science fiction. It speaks to their diverse reading tastes, their willingness to explore different worlds and perspectives through literature.
Exactly. And they have this interesting discussion about the different formats, physical versus e-readers.
Yeah.
It highlights those personal preferences, that tactile experience of turning pages, the smell of a new book, versus the convenience and portability of an e-reader.
One says, I like the feel of physical books. There's something about turning the pages that's satisfying. It speaks to that emotional connection we can have, that sensory experience beyond the words.
It does. And it makes me wonder if their preference for physical books reflects a broader appreciation for tangible experiences, the analog world, the simple pleasure of holding a well-loved book.
That's a beautiful thought. And just like in that earlier scene about the park, they talk about sharing recommendations, creating a connection through their shared love of reading.
It reinforces that idea of community and connection that we've seen throughout. Even in their solitary pursuits, they find ways to connect, to share their passions, to build those bonds.
All right, let's get back to our exploration of active living with a scene that combines exercise, appreciation for nature, and the pursuit of a healthy lifestyle. A bike ride with a view.
There's something so invigorating about cycling through the countryside, especially with a breathtaking sunset as the backdrop. It's a perfect blend of physical activity and aesthetic appreciation.
One says, this bike ride has been amazing. The countryside is so beautiful, especially with the sunset. They're captivated by the view, taking the time to appreciate the natural beauty.
It speaks to their mindfulness, their ability to be present, and to find joy in that simple act of experiencing nature.
And they talk about the physical and mental benefits, feeling energized, sleeping better, clearing their minds. It seems like they're approaching exercise holistically, recognizing the impact on both their physical and mental well-being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're cycling together adds another layer. It reinforces that theme of shared experience, social connection that we've seen throughout.
It's like they're weaving those connections into every aspect of their lives, from their morning jogs to their evening bike rides. And it makes you wonder, is this a cultural norm? A societal expectation? Or just a deeply ingrained personal preference?
Fascinating question. It speaks to that complex interplay between individual choices and cultural influences.
Now let's head back inside for a scene that's all about creating a sense of occasion and elevating those everyday rituals, setting the table for a special dinner.
A simple act, but so telling, right? It speaks volumes about their intentionality, their appreciation for the finer details.
They're cooking a stir-fry, healthy ingredients, but they decide to use the fancy plates, making it feel more like a special occasion.
I noticed that.
One says, let's make dinner special tonight. It's a conscious choice to elevate a regular weeknight meal.
It is. And it speaks to their appreciation for ritual, their ability to find beauty and joy in the everyday. It's not about extravagance. It's about those small gestures that transform the ordinary.
It's like they're saying every meal, every moment has the potential to be special if we choose to make it so.
Exactly. And it makes me wonder, does this intentionality extend to other areas? Their work, leisure, relationships? Something to think about.
Okay, let's immerse ourselves in a scene that's all about the power of music to connect us, uplift our spirits, and spark conversations. Listening to music together.
Music is such a universal language, isn't it?
Yes.
A force that can transcend cultural barriers and bring people together.
One exclaims, "This new album is amazing. The melodies are so catchy." They're excited to share their new musical discovery, describing it as a mix of Indian pop, really upbeat and fun.
It speaks to their passion for music, their desire to share that passion. It's not just about listening, it's about connecting through those shared tastes, those shared experiences.
And they discuss their favorite tracks, the rhythms and melodies that resonate. It's a nice reminder that music is subjective, personal, yet it can connect people who might have different tastes but share a love for its power.
It can. And it makes me wonder if this shared love of music extends beyond their personal lives. Do they attend concerts together? Do they play instruments, sing in a choir? It'd be fascinating to see how music shapes their social interactions, their sense of community.
One says, music has a way of lifting the mood, doesn't it? Acknowledging the therapeutic power, its ability to enhance our well-being and create a sense of shared joy.
It does. And it makes me wonder if they consciously use music as a tool, you know,
hmm
for emotional regulation. Do they have playlists for different moods? Do they turn to music for comfort, inspiration, motivation? It's an intriguing area to explore.
And as we've seen with so many other activities, they suggest going to a live concert together, that shared experience, a recurring theme.
It is. It speaks to their desire for connection, for community, for those shared moments of joy, inspiration.
Now, let's step outside for a scene that's all about finding tranquility and reconnecting with nature. A peaceful evening walk in the park.
There's something so restorative about being in nature, isn't there? Breathing in the fresh air, letting go of the day's stress. In this scene, we see how a simple walk in the park can be like a form of meditation, a chance to reconnect and find a sense of calm.
One says, "This park is so peaceful in the evening. I love these quiet walks after work." It seems like they view the park as an escape, a sanctuary from the hustle and bustle.
It does, yeah, and it speaks to their appreciation for nature's restorative power. They're not just passively enjoying the scenery, they're actively seeking this out for its calming, rejuvenating effects.
And they talk about the park as a place to clear their heads, to find tranquility. It's like they're using this time in nature to de-stress, to process their thoughts, their emotions, to reconnect with themselves.
Exactly. And the fact that they're walking together adds another layer. It suggests that even in their moments of solitude, they still seek that connection, companionship, a shared experience.
It's like they're finding ways to integrate those connections into every part of their lives, from their morning jogs to their evening walks.
It's a lovely reminder, isn't it? That we don't always need to be alone to find peace. Sometimes the presence of a loved one can enhance those moments, provide support, a shared appreciation.
And in that spirit of shared appreciation, let's transition to a scene that's all about the magic of reading before bed, the joy of escaping into those different worlds, and the power of stories to transport us.
There's something so soothing, comforting about that ritual of reading before bed. It's the perfect way to wind down, relax the mind, prepare for a restful night's sleep.
One says, "Just a few more pages before I sleep." This book is getting really interesting. They're clearly engrossed, fully immersed in the story.
It speaks to their love of literature, their ability to get lost in a good book, their appreciation for how stories capture our imaginations and take us to different places.
And they mention they're reading a mystery novel. So many twists and turns I can't put it down. It seems like they're drawn to stories that keep them engaged, challenge their minds, provide that sense of escapism, entertainment.
It does, and it makes me wonder, is their preference for mystery novels a reflection of their personality or their cultural background? Are they drawn to puzzles, unraveling secrets, the thrill of the unknown? Or is it just a genre that offers a welcome distraction from, the everyday?
It's an interesting question. It speaks to how literature can reflect our inner desires, our cultural values, our need for escape.
Absolutely.
Oh, right.
And reading before bed suggests they see it as a way to relax, unwind, prepare for sleep.
A healthy alternative to screen time, a way to calm the mind and transition into that restful state.
Exactly. And it speaks to their, prioritizing sleep, understanding the importance of a relaxing bedtime routine.
And just like in that scene about rainy day reading, they're sharing their preferences, comparing physical books to e-readers, discussing the pros and cons.
It highlights how individual reading is, the personal choices we make about how we consume literature, the emotional connections we form with those different formats.
One says, I just prefer the feel of a real book. It speaks to their appreciation for the tangible, that sensory experience of holding a book, turning the pages, the smell of paper and ink.
It's a beautiful sentiment, and it makes me wonder, is this preference for physical books also a reflection of a desire to disconnect from technology, to find solace in the analog world, to engage with something that doesn't require a screen or a charger?
Powerful thought. Speaks to our growing need for balance in these increasingly digital lives.
Absolutely. A reminder that there's still so much value, so much beauty to be found in the tangible, the analog, the unplugged.
Okay, let's shift gears to a scene that's all about physical activities, setting goals, and enjoying the outdoors. Jogging in the morning.
There's something so invigorating about starting the day with a jog, feeling the fresh air, getting your heart pumping. It's a perfect way to wake up, both body and mind, set a positive tone.
One says, it's a perfect morning for a jog. The air feels so fresh. They're embracing that energy of a new day, eager to get moving.
It speaks to their commitment to physical health, their appreciation for the energizing effects of exercise.
And they talk about their usual route, a loop around the park, maintaining a steady pace. It sounds like they have a well-established routine, a familiar path.
It does, and it speaks to their discipline, their ability to stick to a schedule. They're not just sporadically exercising, they're making it a regular part of their lives, which suggests a high level of self-motivation, commitment to their well-being.
One says, I've been working on improving my endurance, demonstrating that dedication to pushing themselves, achieving those fitness goals.
Exactly. It speaks to their growth mindset, that belief that they can continually improve, achieve their goals through effort and dedication.
And they mention the positive impact, feeling more energetic, sleeping better, even greater mental clarity.
It highlights that interconnectedness, right, of physical and mental well-being. Taking care of our bodies has a ripple effect on all aspects of our lives.
One says, I feel like these jogs help me reset and recharge. It captures that sense of renewal, rejuvenation that comes from physical activity.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, do they use jogging as a form of stress management? A way to process emotions, clear their heads, find a sense of calm?
That's an intriguing thought. Speaks to the power of physical activity to be an outlet, a way to channel stress and anxiety into something positive. Now let's move to a scene that might seem, mundane, but it reveals a lot about their organization, their planning, their collaborative approach to daily life. Grocery shopping.
Grocery shopping. One of those essential tasks we often take for granted. But it's a fascinating glimpse into people's priorities, their habits, their way of navigating the world.
One asks, let's see, we need eggs, milk, and some vegetables. Did I forget anything? They're carefully checking their list, making sure they haven't missed a thing.
Speaks to their organizational skills, their commitment to planning ahead. They're not just wandering aimlessly. They're approaching this with intention, purpose.
And they've got a system, working together, dividing and conquering. I'll get the chicken and broccoli. Can you find the bell peppers?
Teamwork. Their shared understanding of their household needs. They're not just shopping for themselves. They're working together to make sure they have what they need for the week.
And their grocery list is revealing healthy ingredients for stir fries, essentials like coffee, but healthy snacks too. Nuts, granola bars. It confirms that emphasis on health and well-being.
Yeah, it's not just talk. It's reflected in their choices.
Yeah.
They're nourishing their bodies.
Before checkout, one asks, I think we've got everything. Anything else on the list? Double checking, making sure nothing's been missed.
That meticulousness, that attention to detail, they're not leaving anything to chance. They approach this with the same care, the same precision that they apply to other areas of their lives.
It's like a well-oiled machine, the way they move through the store together. So efficient, so harmonious.
Speaks of their compatibility, their shared understanding. They've clearly got a system that works, a seamless collaboration.
And now for a scene that's all about appreciating nature's beauty, finding solace in the outdoors, and creating a sense of ritual. Watching the sunset.
There's magic in a sunset, isn't there? Those colors, the skies, day ends, tranquility. A reminder of the beauty around us, even when life is busy.
One says, this bike ride has been amazing. The countryside is so beautiful, especially with the sunset. Clearly captivated, taking the time to appreciate it.
It speaks to their appreciation for nature, their willingness to slow down and savor the moment. They're not just rushing, they're making time for experiences that bring them joy and peace.
And they're talking about the colors, how they change, creating this breathtaking spectacle.
It reminds us to be present, to observe, to appreciate those subtle things. They're not just watching, they're actively engaged, noticing the details, finding beauty in the ephemeral.
One says watching the sunset while cycling is such a peaceful experience. That feeling of serenity, tranquility that comes from connecting with nature.
It does. And it makes me wonder, do they make a conscious effort to incorporate these moments into their lives? Do they seek out sunsets, take walks, have a garden? How does nature shape their routines, their well-being?
Beautiful thought. And they decide to make it a regular thing, this sunset bike ride, a weekly ritual.
It speaks to their commitment to self-care, to making time for what brings them joy, peace, and to nurturing their relationship with the natural world. A reminder that we can create rituals that support our well-being, connect us to what matters, and bring beauty and meaning to our lives. It's really inspiring, you know? They're actively creating the kind of life they want, making choices that reflect what matters to them.
It really is. It's like we've been given this little glimpse into a whole world, a whole way of life through these tiny pieces. And even though, like you said, these were English lessons, we've ended up talking so much about culture.
What strikes me, it's that balance they seem to have found. They work, yeah, but they also make time to relax, enjoy themselves. They appreciate technology, but they also get that disconnecting being in nature is important too. It's not about extremes. It's like a mindful blend.
They're not just, going through the motions of life. There's a thoughtfulness to everything they do, a real sense of being present.
Exactly. They're not just living, they're thriving. And that makes me think about what it means for language learning, right?
Yeah.
Maybe their approach to life is their approach to language. It's all about new experiences, connecting with people, always growing.
That's a great point. Like, language isn't just this tool for communication, it's a way to enrich their lives in all these ways we've been talking about.
Right. And it makes you wonder, could this kind of approach work for learning anything? Maybe the takeaway here isn't just what they're doing, but how they're doing it. That openness, that thoughtfulness, the joy they bring to even the most simple things.
So, if we had to sum it all up, what would you say is the biggest cultural insight we've gained from this deep dive?
Well, that's tough to choose just one. But I think for me, it's that focus on connection. Whether it's family, friends, even nature, they're always looking for ways to build and strengthen those bonds. It seems like that's the core of their happiness.
And that's what makes this so fascinating, isn't it? Started with these basic English conversations, and we've ended up with like real insight into their values, how they see the world, proof that culture is everywhere, even in the most unexpected places.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even everyday stuff is full of meaning, waiting for us to notice it. Makes you wonder, what are we missing in our own lives? What can we learn by paying closer attention to the world around us?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. We've only scratched the surface here, but hopefully this has inspired you to look a little deeper, to find those hidden meanings, and to, discover the richness that's all around us, even in ordinary moments.
And who knows, maybe it'll even change how you approach learning a language, or really learning anything at all, bringing in that same sense of curiosity, connection, and joy.
Thanks for joining us on this really unique deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep discovering the extraordinary in the everyday.